Alright, well I've got one game for you today. First, to cover the changes that I've made, I took Deprive out of the deck, put Trinket Mage back in. I'm still using Colony Gem. The reason I'm still using Colony Gem is because it's completely awesome. I've actually tutored for it a couple of times. I love it every time I draw it. The card is absolutely perfect for this deck for a lot of reasons. It makes land tax and tithe better, Scroll Rack, Brainstorm, Mox Diamond, Jace. It just does a lot of good things, and at the same time it's really powerful when you combine it with all the copy effects of Copy Artifact. I've got Phyrexian Metamorph, I've got Sculpting Steel, and because it doesn't have the requirement to return 2 lands or destroy Colony Gem, because you can just return 2 lands or 1 or 0 if you only have 1 or 0, it's quite powerful. Anyway, Trinket Mage is back in because Soul Rings are very, very powerful. The more you get of them, the more you can play them, the better off you are. Play as many as you can. Trinket Mage is basically Soul Ring, so ergo, he makes it in the deck. Now, to run through the game here, I'm in a hotel, and I don't have a mouse, and you don't want to hear the clicking, annoying clicking that you've probably already noticed. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit play, and I'm going to try to describe the game as it goes. Now I'm going to click through the first part just to kind of set it up, but after that, yeah, I'm just going to play. You can hear how annoying that clicking probably is to you. So now that we've got this set up here, looks like my opponent mulligan. My hand will be at the bottom. My opponent's hand will be at the, my hand will be at the bottom, but my cards will be at the top. And at the end of the video, I'll bring up the deck list again so you can pause it and check it out if it wasn't clear the first time. So I'm just going to hit play, like I said, and hopefully this just works nicely. So there was a lot of lag in this game, though, so hopefully that doesn't come through in the replay. So I top deck Expedition map, and that's very fortunate to go with the rest of my hand and go ahead and play the map. My opponent plays first turn Arbor Elf, and on my second turn I play a land and say go. On his second turn he plays Seaton, and I go ahead and sack the map in order to get Ancient Tomb. Ancient Tomb then allows me to play my Trinket Mage, who lets me fetch Mana Crypt, who allows me to play Power Stone, and then I hold the Opal since I have no use for it right now, and there's no need to telegraph that I require 3 artifacts. Unfortunately, that doesn't stop my opponent from playing a Priest of Titania and then killing my Frozen Grip. Thanks to Seaton, he couldn't tap his Priest's ability, but he can tap it for green because it's a Druid. So on my turn, instead, I just go ahead and play more land and play my commander so I can start drawing some cards. My opponent puts down an artifact on his turn, so during my upkeep I draw 1 extra card and disenchant it. I find Dark Tutelage, and using my mana perfectly, I'm able to cast Tutelage and Seal, so I'm ready to go if he gets something like any other target for Seal of Cleansing. His turn he plays Soul of the Harvest, and he draws a card off of Sentinel Wood Raiders. For my turn, I reveal Hallowed Fountain. I'm going to move revealed cards over here so it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. We'll just put them underneath the Dark Tutelage like this. And I Factor Fiction main phase and take the 3 pile of the Abyss Crypt and let a Mystical Teachings and Terminus go, but essentially I took the 4 pile since I can flashback Mystical Teachings. It was a little painful to throw away Terminus here, but I've got a long-term plan to clear out his creatures, so it's okay. In response to Collective Unconscious, I Cryptic Command and draw a card. Then I go ahead and seal away the Caged Sun. Really glad that I had drawn both of the disenchants this game. And he decides not to attack for some reason, so probably because he doesn't want to trade 6 points of damage for 1 of my creatures, and then I just replay my commander. So I reveal a Strip Mine, play it, cast the Abyss, and pass for the turn with a handful of tutors. He plays Helix Pinnacle, card that is no good and takes absolutely forever to even attempt to win. Much too slow for this format and unfortunately any other format. And then he plays Duplicate on Trinket Mage, which seems like an error, but I guess he just, again, didn't want me to recast my commander right away. He plays Seaborn Muse, and I allow that to go ahead. Mystical Teachings, end of turn for Forbid, and then I go ahead and start Limb Duels Vaulting. I'm going to go ahead and just not reveal the cards that I'm vaulting for, but you'll see it as I draw it, just because it's kind of a pain to continuously minimize the pop-ups in a game in which I am just, sitting on the play button here. So I'm vaulting, and what I'm trying to do is find a way to clear his board out permanently, basically permanently, without Terminus. I can either go get Mystical Teachings, for example, or something along those lines, and then Yawgmoth's Will, or I could use Imperial Seal to get it, then Yawgmoth's Will, and then cast Terminus, but that will kill my commander. Or I could try to get, say, Cyclonic Rift, and there's a Rift, which is what I do, and then maybe just tutor for, Winter Orb and lock him down. But there is yet another way, and it involves what I'm about to do now. So I play this way here, and on his turn he goes for like a super, well, first of all, at the end of my turn he puts a bunch of counters on Helix Pinnacle. Who cares? Whenever that happens, lagging. Stupid thing. Okay, there we go. So then on his turn, he taps Arbor Elf in response to the Abyss and eats his Arbor Elf, uses the mana to pump Helix Pinnacle, casts a Farhaven Elf, gets to draw a land in the card, floats a bunch of mana, and attacks with Chameleon Colossus. I do nothing, so of course he pumps his Colossus for damage. And again, he doesn't attack with his Soul of the Harvest. I don't know if he's really afraid of Condemn or what, but I mean, sometimes you just gotta go for it, man. Anyway, he pumps his Colossus, I let it happen, he pumps it again, in response I Rift. He's got 3 mana, but it's his attack phase, and he's nothing you can do with it. And here the game glitches out, so I'm just going to stop it and walk you through what happens. His mana pool empties as he exits the combat phase, and he discards down to 7 cards. On my turn, Dark Tutelage reveals the card that I put on top of my deck, which is Mind Twist. And after revealing Mind Twist, I cast Enlightened Tutor for Well of Lost Dreams. I draw for the turn, which is the Well. I have the Mind Twist in my hand already. I tap Thran, Crypt, Tomb, and this land, and I Mind Twist him for 7. And due to the atrocious Mind Twist your commander glitch, I hit his commander 2 times, and he ends up 1, 2, or 3 times, I think it is. He ends up with, even though he has 7 cards in hand, and I Mind Twisted him for 7, he ends up with 2 cards in his hand, because he ends up discarding his commander multiple times. So if you haven't seen it, that's just a huge pet peeve of mine that it's been broken for years and they still haven't fixed it. Anyway, after the Mind Twist resolves, having spent 8 mana, I go ahead and tap a little bit more, and I cast the Well of Lost Dreams, and I end the turn with this is gone. These 2 cards are in my hand. Forbid's in my hand. Swords of Plashers is in my hand. On his turn, he draws and then plays the Chameleon, the Priest of Titania, and doesn't play a 3rd card. I plow the Chameleon. Unfortunately, I have to Swords of Plashers, something that should have been Mind Twisted. I think he did play a 3rd card. I forbid and buy it back. And so I plow the Chameleon, and the only thing left in play is a Priest. That's going to die to the Abyss on his next turn. On my next turn, I draw 2 cards off the Well, plus a card from my draw phase. One of the cards that I draw is Staff of Nin. The other card is Sculpting Steel, and the 3rd card is unimportant. So I go ahead and cast Staff of Nin, but I don't Sculpting Steel it because it leaves me with 2 cards in hand plus a Forbid, and if I need a Forbid and buyback, then I'm just going to have to miss out on having 2 Staff of Nins. So I pass for the turn. His Priest dies. He draws. He doesn't play anything that I have to forbid with buyback. I shoot him once with the staff. On my turn, I draw once for... Oh, no, actually, I'm sorry. I drew 1 more card for Dark Tutelage on that turn. I did copy the Staff of Nin. So I shoot him twice with Staff of Nin. And before I take my next turn, at which point I had Well, Staff, Tutelage, and a draw phase. So I was going to draw 6 cards. I have Forbid and 2 cards in my hand already. At that point, he says to me he's bored and then he quits the game. As I've said before, people always state that they're bored and then quit when they're facing a control deck, and it's always the turn when they realize that they've lost the game. And what they really mean by I'm bored is, if I continue to play the game, it will be boring because I will never do anything ever again except watch you play. It's kind of like, basically at that point for me, Forbid might as well just be Time Walk with buyback, because my opponent's never going to get another turn. He's never going to do anything useful, and he's just going to sit and watch me play Magic. So weird to say your board like as soon as you realize that. I think a better thing to say is just to say good game, you've beaten me, but or I'm locked out or whatever. But you know, I understood what he meant. So he scoops it up, and I get the win. And the reason I thought this game was interesting and that you might enjoy it is because if you haven't thought of it, I didn't think of it right away. It took me a little while. I was very focused on the fact that I had let Terminus go and kept thinking I needed to sweep the board and that I was going to have to go ahead and use a Yawgmoth's Will. But it's very nice to be reminded that there is another sweeper combo, which is a Rift and a Winter Orb, or Rift and Mind Twist. Excellent way to sweep the board. So yeah, very cool, and something that I'm going to have to keep in mind. The other thing that's very cool about the other thing that works really nicely about it, though, is that Mystical Teachings, you can teachings for the Rift, or you can teachings for a tutor to get the other half of the puzzle. So basically, with one Mystical Teachings, you can both get the Rift and then get a tutor and set up Mind Twist, and you can essentially use a single Mystical Teachings to destroy all permanents that your opponent has and discard every card in his hand, if you're given enough time. The ideal way to do it is probably to Mystical Teachings for Muddle the Mixture, and then transmute Muddle the Mixture for Rift, and then or transmute it for Demonic Tutor perhaps to go get Mind Twist, and then just flashback to Teachings to go get Rift. That way they never see it coming. So you just you Teachings for Muddle, transmute Muddle for DT, you Demonic, you say go or whatever, and then on the next turn, at the end of their turn, you flash it back, go get Rift, and then on the following turn, at the end of the turn, it's a long process, but basically that's the if I don't want to reveal my hand to you until it's too late and there's nothing you can do about it play. So here's the deck list here. I hope you enjoyed the game. And it's a short one, but it was just a powerful one in which a new realization came to me. I know it seems kind of crazy if you already thought of it, that Rift and Mind Twist are so good together, but the key insight for me was that Mystical Teachings by itself, in and of itself, is a card that can go and completely destroy every permanent your opponent has and every card in their hand by collecting two simple cards, Rift and Twist. Very cool, and it'll be something that I'm kind of guiding games towards going forward. Because remember, as a control player, you don't want to just be reactive, you want to be proactive. You want to craft the game and make your opponent play the game that you want them to play, and not force you to play the game that they want you to play. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and probably be another couple days before I make another one, but it will be from home and we'll have less lag. I'll see you next time.